Hello, 8th graders. Today we are doing lesson problem set for lesson 4, module 8. The sheet that they give us doesn't give us a lot of space, so I'm going to do it on a separate piece of paper. The first one says to solve the linear equation. It also says to state and justify your first step and why you chose it. I'm not worried about you doing that, but we'll discuss it. What is our first step here? Would be to simplify the problem, right? To combine our like terms. Our like terms would be our like variables of x. So we need to combine those. I have 1x here. Remember that 1's invisible. 1x plus 3x would give me 4x. Plus, remember, I still have to bring down the 4. We didn't get rid of that. Okay. So now we can get rid of that. I have a plus 4 here. To get rid of adding 4, I would subtract 4 there. Subtract 4 on both sides, actually, or else it won't be even anymore. So I have 4 minus 4 is 0. I have 4x, 4x plus 0, which is just 4x. So I can put 4x equals 72 minus 4 is 68. Now I have 4x. Remember, 4x means 4 times x. So this is multiplication. To get rid of multiplication, I can divide. So I have to divide by 4 on both sides. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so I get 1x, but I'm going to leave the 1 invisible, make that just x. And I have to do 68 divided by 4. 4 goes into 6 once. That'd be 4. I'm going to subtract that. That'd be 2. Bring down my 8. 28. 4 goes into 28 7 times. And I have no remainder. So my answer would be 17. Let's go on to problem number 2. Problem number 2, once again, we're going to have to start with combining like terms. This time we have 2 sets of like terms. We have our variable x. Remember, we take the sign in front of it. So we have x, another positive x, and another positive x. So that gives us a total of 3 x's. Now let's do our constants. We have a positive 3 and a negative 8. So if I put a positive 3 and a negative 8 together, that's like starting at 3 on the number line and going down, because it's negative, going down 8. So if I start at positive 3 and go down 8, I'd end up at negative 5. So 3x minus 5 equals 55. Now we need to get rid of our subtracting 5. The opposite of subtracting 5 is adding 5. So got to do it on both sides to keep it even. So we'd have 3x equals 60. 3x is 3 times x. That's multiplying. To get rid of multiplying, we're going to divide here by 3, divide here by 3, and I'm going to get x equals 60 divided by 3 is going to be 20. Problem 3 has fractions, and I know we don't like fractions, but we're going to do just fine on them. In fact, we're going to get rid of all these fractions. And how are we going to do it? We're going to multiply by our least common multiple between 2 and 4. 2 and 4 are denominators. If we take our multiples of 2, we'd have 2, 4, 6, 8. Our multiples of 4 would be 4, 8, 16, 20. 4, 8, 12. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And notice we have 4 in common. That's the least of our common multiples. So I want to take everything and multiply these by 4, and that will magically get the fractions away. So if I take this and multiply everything by 4, multiply half by multiply 10 by 4, multiply 1/4 by 4, multiply multiply 54 times 4. We need to remember, how do we multiply fractions? Remember, we take 4 and turn it into a fraction by making it 4 over 1. And then we multiply our numerators and our denominators. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. So 4 over 1 times 1/2 is 4 over 2. Add the 4 times 10, which is 40. Oh, I'm sorry, this is 4 over 2x. We can't forget that x. Plus 40 equals 4 times 1/4. We got to make this over 1. 4 times 1 is 4, and 1 times 4 is 4, so we have 4/4 x plus 54 times 4. Well, I know 50 times 4 is 200. 4 times 4 is 16, so it's going to be 216. Now let's simplify these fractions. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so we have 2x plus 40 equals 4 times 4 is 1, so we have 1x plus 216. Now, we have variables on both sides. So we need to get rid of the variable with the smallest coefficient. Our coefficients are 2 and 1. 1 is smaller, so we're going to get rid of the 1x by subtracting it out, but we got to do it on both sides. Minus 1x. And so we're going to end up with 1x over here plus 40 equals 216. Okay. Remember, 1x, we can just write it as x. We got to subtract the 40. And so we're going to have x equals 216 minus 40. And that would be 176. Let's go on to number 4. Number 4, once again, we have a fraction. We just have one fraction, so if we multiply everything by its denominator, we'll get rid of our fractions. So we got to multiply everything by 4. And so make this over 1. So we're going to get 4/4 x plus 18 times 4, 32, 7, right? 72 plus 72 equals 4x. Now 4/4 is just 1, right? So this is 1x plus 72 equals 4x. Now we need to get rid of the variable with a smaller coefficient. So we have the 1 and the 4. The 1 smaller. So we're going to get rid of 1x by subtracting 1x from both sides. And we get 72 equals 4 minus 1 is 3, so 3x. Now 3x is multiplication. To get rid of multiplying, we're going to divide by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1x. We're going to keep the 1 invisible, just make it an x. And then we're going to go 72 divided by 3. 3 goes into 72 2 times, that's 6. And 3 goes into 12, 4. So it's going to be 24. Okay. Number 5, we're going to go into the order of operations. So I want to do, because of order of operations and simplifying, I actually want to do, remember we do multiplication before addition and subtraction, right? So let's do this to simplify it. We have 1/3 times 15, multiplying fractions. How do we multiply fractions? We make both numbers into fractions. So we make that 15 over 1. Then we multiply our numerator times our denominator. So we'd have 15. 1 times 15 is 15. Oops. And 3 times 1 is 3. So I have 17 minus x equals 15 divided by 3 plus 6. What's 15 divided by 3? 5. So I have 17 minus x equals 5 plus 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. 17 minus x equals 11. So I am going to take away 17 from both sides. And I'm going to end up with a negative x equals 11 minus 17 would be negative 6. But negative, I'm going to come over here, negative x equals negative 6. We don't want this in terms of a negative. How do we change a negative x into a positive x? We multiply it by negative 1. If I multiply this by negative 1, I have to multiply this side by negative 1. And negative times a negative gives me a positive. So this is now a positive x, and a negative times a negative positive is a positive 6. So x equals 6. Let's go down to number 6. Let's simplify this right now. X plus 2 is going to give us 2x plus 2 all over 4 equals 189.5. Now notice, this is a division problem. How do we get rid of dividing? We can multiply. So we're going to multiply everything by 4, or 4 over 1 if you want, right? And these are going to cross out, and you're going to get 2x plus 2 equals 189.5 times 4. Let's do this. That's 20. 36 and 2 is 38. 32, 3 are 35. Carry the 3, 7. We have 1 decimal point in our problems. We have 1 decimal point in our answer, so it equals 758. Now we have the plus 2. So we want to subtract 2 from both sides. So we're going to have 2x equals 756. Now we need to divide by 2. And x is going to be, let me do it over here, 756 divided by 2. That's 3. Bring down the 5. It's going to be 7. It'll give me 14. Bring down the 6. And that'd be 8. So x is going to be 378. For the last problem, they want us to figure out where the mistake is. So we got to kind of analyze this. So the first thing they did is it looks like they combine their x's here. 2x and a negative 8x will give us the negative 6x. And here they combined their constants and got the 13. So that looks like a good step. Next thing they did is it looks like they're getting rid of the negative 3 by adding 3 to both sides. So that would give you a negative 6x. And they give you this the 16 plus 2x, so that looks good. Next thing they do is they, it looks like they're adding 2x to both sides, but shouldn't they be subtracting 2x from both sides? I think they should be subtracting 2x from both sides because this is addition. To get rid of addition, you need to subtract. So this is where they made their mistake. So they should have a negative 6x minus 2x equals 16. So this would be a negative 8x equals 16. Then you're going to divide by a negative 8, and you're going to have x equals a negative 2. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. So that's where they made their mistake. Have a good day.